starting from 10.5 and you are reaching at 14.5, there will be a certain factor or the compounding factor if you can calculate. This compounding factor is 1.37. And what you have to do, if you look this factor in the compound value table, you will find that it is in the, because this has come in 3 years, this is coming in 3 years. So in 3 years you will get, if you see this factor in the table, you will find that it is at 11%. So 11% is the compounding rate. That if you compound it by 11%, from 10.5 it will reach to 14.5 in 3 years. Okay, so the growth rate, the rate at which it is growing can be calculated by this. Okay?
Excuse me. First year में it was 10.5.
Yeah.
फिर sir third year में it came up to 14.5.
Yeah.
Sir, by using simple mathematical calculation, can we calculate by percent? That is 14.5 minus 10.5 upon 10.5 into 100. So we'll
because
get
one more thing is there, you can calculate like this also. But if the you can say if the gap is large, then what will you do?
So the initial year and the final year, the difference.
Initial year and the final year difference will take,
Yes,
but
sir.
the factor will not come like that. Because initial year and final year, what about the time value of money in between? How will you just give cognizance to the time value of money in between? You will not be able to. So okay, so the solution is only that you start from 10.5 to 14, get the compounding factor, see this compounding factor in the table, and or otherwise this rate can also be calculated by using Excel. That I will tell you after. Today we will not be touching Excel. We will be first clearing the fundas and then we will be coming on Excel. There is a rigorous exercise of cost of capital on Excel that we will be doing it now. Right? So here this is very simple. 120 minus 5, because 5 is your cost of rotation, or you can even take 5%, 1 minus 0.5, it will be one and the same thing. Okay, as given in the formula. That is, but if you are taking f as if you are taking it in a percentage, then you have to consider at what point you have to put. So it will be 5 rupees over here is there. So you have to calculate 5% of this, and it's better to just reduce rupees 5 on it directly. Plus even 11% you will get that.
Sir, yeah, the flotation cost which is deducted is always deducted from book value of the shares.
No, the actual proceeds which you are getting. For example, I have issued the shares at premium. The book value of the shares is still rupees 100, for example. I have issued the shares on premium. For example, at 10% premium. So the price which I will be getting is 110. But out of that 5 rupees I have spent on the flotation cost. Now what actual proceeds are with me? 105. Not 100. Book value is 100. 105 is the proceeds.
So sir, why it is not from here 120 minus 5?
Here
It is 5%, sir. Why sir? You will not, sir, 125% or 120 is not this.
this is not 5%, my dear. It is rupees 5. It is not. It is not.
It is rupees 5.
That's why percentage has not been taken up over here. Na?
Sir, but when you issue new share, it is sir 1 minus.
That's what I am saying. If it is given in percentage, then 1 minus that percentage will actually give. For example, it is 5%. And always mind it, wheresoever you are going for flotation cost in percentage, it is always a percentage of net proceeds. Now there is a reason behind it. Let me just finish this. There is a reason behind it. You tell me what is easier for me to sell at higher price or at lower price?
At lower.
If I'll be pushing my clients to just go for at a higher price, definitely I have to make some extra efforts. So I should also get some extra commission. So the flotation cost when the price is high, if you are selling it at premium, always is on the higher. If you are selling it at discount, the price will be lower. It means the flotation cost is on the net proceeds. Okay? Net proceeds means what actually is the market value. On net proceeds is again market value minus flotation cost. Means after charging, not after charging flotation or before charging flotation.
Actually market value.
Yeah. Right? Okay, is it clear to everyone? Now capital asset pricing model. Now CAPM model is having a totally different approach than that of the model which we have just now studied. CAPM model is based on risk-free rate of return and the risk premium which you are getting. How many of you are engineers? Okay, so I suppose you are well in mathematics. See this equation from your engineering point of view, you will find this equation of a straight line.
Yes, sir.
Isn't it? It's the equation of the straight line, and beta is nothing but the slope of the straight line. I think those who are from non-science background, they are understanding what I am saying, or do you need me to make you understand that? Okay, anyway, whatsoever. Cost of capital in case of CAPM model when we are considering is nothing but what extra you are getting over and above your risk-free return, considering the risk you are taking. Okay. For example, in such situation, if you want to calculate the cost of capital, for example, all of your class is investing in an IPO, taking the funds out of your banks, which is a safe deposit, or you can say the risk-free deposit. Okay, you might be getting certain return out of such type of deposit, that is called risk-free rate of return (RF), which you are already getting. Now, why you will invest in any business person? Navneet has opened up a company and he invites all of you to just invest in that company. And you all, because of you are very good friend and you trust Navneet, you will take out the funds from your bank and will give to Navneet to invest it in his business. What do you expect from Navneet? Something over and above what you are getting from the bank, or just the same amount which you are getting from the bank? I think no one is so good friend that he will expect only that whatsoever he was getting in the bank. So here, because you have shown proper interest in him, that is a proof of your friendship. But still, you need something more over and above the risk-free rate of return, and that is called risk premium. I am talking of RM minus RF, where RM is the market return and RF is the risk premium. So this I can say is the risk premium. For example, you were getting 9% from your bank, and now in Navneet's company you will be getting 14%. Okay, actually you are getting 14% only, but out of this 14%, if I split it off, then 9% is your risk-free rate of return and 5% is your risky rate of return. 5% is your risky rate of return, and beta is the sensitivity or the, you can say, the risk factor. Beta tells you that if higher is the risk, you must get the expected return more than, okay, the risk free, and if the sensitivity factor or the beta is low, you should also get the less return. Means there is no risk if it is the beta is less than 1. So whensoever the risk starts when beta exceeds 1. Now what beta is? Beta is nothing but the sensitivity of the share price of Navneet's company as compared to that of the market. It means that if market goes up by 1%, Navneet's shares will also go up by 1%. In such situation, the slope of the line will be 1, and it will give you an angle of 45 degrees from the x-axis. Isn't it or not? Okay. But if, for example, the slope is 2 or the risk factor is 2, how this risk factor will come in picture? You have to see that what return you are getting with that of the return of the market. If market fluctuates by 2%, your return will also fluctuate by 2%. Means if there is 2% positive change, your share price will also rise by 2%. So when this is 2%, both the ways, this beta is still 1. But if I say beta is 2, then if the market will move 1%, your share price will rise by 2%. If market will move down by 1%, your share price will also down by 2%. Means there is an equal risk factor up and down the market. What my point or not? Okay, if market sensitivity with respect to the shares is certain amount by which the share fluctuates with that of the market. You got the point?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so therefore the thing is, that's why the risky rate of return, the things over and above the risk free, RM minus RHS, something over and above the risk free rate of return has to be associated with the market risk. Okay, and the cost of equity will be calculated as such. Let us do this illustration. Assume that the RM, that is risk rate of return, is 9% and RM is 18%. If a security has a beta factor of A 1.41 and C 2.3, find out the expected return of the security. Fatapat calculate easy, everything, everyone. Do it. Hurry up. Do it on your calculators. Though it is solved over here, but you have to do it by your own. Do one more thing, those who have already done it. What will be your answer if beta is 0.8? What will be your